Hello guys. Today I will be presenting you how to create a EC2 instance using AWS. So the agenda of this session is um, setting up Cloudera distribution of Hadoop on AWS. And at the higher level, these are the steps that are involved. First, we need to create a AWS account. Then I will give a primer on AWS, what is it and what are the different components it has. Then we will be going ahead and provisioning a node, and then we will be installing Cloudera Manager and the cluster on the node. So you need to go to aws.amazon.com and create a account over there. I will not be doing the presentation of how to creating the account, and it requires adding credit card information and all those things. It is pretty straightforward and intuitive. So just go ahead and create an account. Once the account is created, now I will explain you what is AWS, what are different components that you need to be aware before provisioning a node on the cluster, and then you can go ahead and install Hadoop on the cluster. So AWS, once you log in, it might look like this. Otherwise, let me log in again. I am signing out, and when you actually enter AWS Amazon.com as the web address, the page will look like this, and then you have to click on My Account or Console and click on AWS Management Console, and it will ask you to for your email address and password which you have used to register your account. Then when you click on sign in, it will look like this. Okay. First thing you need to be aware is about the regions. These are called regions. What does that mean is AWS have data centers across different regions in US, in as well as outside US. So the first three are US regions. There are two in West Coast, one in Oregon, and the other one is Northern California, around Bay Area, and in East Coast there is one in Northern Virginia, and then there is a data center in European Union, and three in Asia Pacific, and one in South America. So you have to be aware of which data center you are creating these nodes, and if you set up a cluster on one region, and if you have another in another region, communicating between them can be challenge. So try to create all the uh, nodes in the cluster in the same region, to avoid and waste time around troubleshooting and fixing network related issues between the regions. So being said that, depending upon what you choose, you have to go to that region in the subsequent logins to see your nodes. If you create your cluster in one region, and if you try to if when you log in, if it chooses another region for any region, then you might not be seeing the nodes in the console. So for example, if EC2 means Elastic Cloud Compute, and this is where you will actually see the instances you have provisioned. Okay, so if I go to another region, let's say US West, it will not show anything because nodes are not in this region. So you have to be very careful about the region. If you do not see nodes when you log in, don't panic. Make sure you have the right regions selected. Okay. After regions, what you have to deal with is key pairs. Key pair is like, if you are aware of SSH. There is a concept called public key and private key. Okay, so whenever you create a key pair, um, it will give a private key to you, and you have to use this key to communicate to any of the other nodes. Any of the nodes, if those nodes uses those keys, then you will be able to communicate between your computer and the nodes in Amazon Web Services. You will understand more when we actually create one and try to leverage that one while provisioning the node. And other one is VPC, which means virtual private cloud. So if you go to services and if you click on VPC, it will take you to this console, and then before and then the purpose of VPC is that you have a static private keys. If you don't have VPC, and if you try to launch a node, and then it will assign a IP address, private IP address, and whenever you shut down the server and restart the server, those IP addresses can change. In most of the cases they will change, but in few cases it might not change, but it is not reliable. So there are two kinds of IP addresses. One is private IP and public IP, and VPC is mainly to have static private IP addresses. And then elastic IP, similar virtual private cloud is to have static IP addresses for your private IPs between the nodes in the cluster, and elastic IP is to have a public IP between your computer and um, and the nodes in the cluster. You will understand more when we see this. So elastic IP is a concept where you can have static public IP addresses, without which it will be you need to change the IP address every time you try to log in to the node in the cluster if it is stopped and started. And then security groups. So let's go to services, and if you click on EC2, as part of EC2 there are several other concepts which you need to be aware of. One of the important one is security groups. Security groups is like firewalls. I will not be getting into details how they work and all those things. But you need to configure your security groups in such a way that all the ports that are required to communicate with your node is opened. So that is the purpose of security groups. We will create one, and we will leverage one. Then we will understand more in the context of installing Hadoop cluster. And EC2 is the term used for a node in AWS. It stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. So you will get compute nodes. You can provision as many as you need. And AMI, Amazon Machine Image. So it is like a template. So even you can create a Amazon Machine image, and you can share with your friends, and they can use that image. And when they launch instance, each template will have a AMI. So this one is Amazon Linux with version I don't know what is PV is. This one is Red Hat Linux 6.5. Um, and then there are two Amazon machine images for this. One is 32-bit and one is 64-bit. So based upon that, means this is a UI, and there is another way to choose custom AMIs which you want to share with your friends is by just searching the image ID, and then you can use it to actually launch your instance. So if you go to services EC2 and click on launch instance, community AMI. So if you create your own AMI, you can add it to it, and then you can search for your friends have to search for your AMI, and then they can use that AMI, and all the configurations that are changed will be used as a snapshot when you actually provision the AMI. So that is AMI. And then storage, there are two types of storage. One is EBS and the other one is instance or ephemeral storage. So what is the significance of this? EBS will persist across the across stop and starts of your nodes, whereas instance and ephemeral storage, if you use them and if you try to stop if you stop your Amazon node, you cannot start it because the storage will be gone once it is stopped. So you will get a free instance or ephemeral storage with your nodes, but you should choose it only for production environments because they will give it for free, and you should be able to leverage, and you will not be shutting down as frequently in production environments. But for our purpose, we should use EBS. If you use instance or ephemeral storage, then you will be in soup. It will be in inconsistent state when you will not be able to stop it. Even if you are able to stop it, you will not be you might not be able to start it because the storage will be gone. So these are some high level concepts about AWS. Regions, key pairs, VPC, elastic IP, security groups, EC2, AMI, storage. There are a bunch of other things, but I am covering only that are relevant for our topic today. So you have to choose your region so let me go. Let me do a demo now. So you have the EC2. Click on EC2 and choose the region wherever you want, and uh, and then first you have to create a key pair. I already have a key pair. You can click on that, and then you can create a new one and give a name, testing, create, and immediately it will ask you to save, and you should save it. If you do not save it, again you have to create a new one. So save file. Okay, it will be saved with the same file name by default, and the extension will be .pem. uh, you will understand I'm using Mac, so it will download to downloads folder by default, unless you choose a different location. So the file name is testing.pem. So you have to copy it to the location other than these typical download folders. Copy, go Netsa, and then EC2, and then here. So I have a directory called EC2 under my home directory, and I have copied this PEM file over there. 1 minute. Let me see. Okay. It should be under .ec2. So cd. Okay, mv ec2 testing .ec2 means it's just a location. I think even you can put it in wherever you want. So I have all my PEMs over here. Okay, so that is the public IP address. I think even the extension is not mandatory. We will see if it causes any issues. So once you created this, now what is the next step? Now you have to create a VPC. Okay, so to create a VPC, there are multiple ways you can do that. You can click on instances, and when When you click on launch instance and select the instance, I will explain about these things later. I'm just so here, this is one location where you can create a new VPC. So after choosing your AMI and then choosing your type of node, you have to configure your instance details. So in this case, you can use launch EC2 Classic. And the disadvantage of using EC2 Classic is um, every time you stop and start your instance once you provision, it will change the private IP address. So it will be challenge if you have a multi-node cluster. It will be challenge between those nodes to communicate with each other. So either you can create a new VPC at this time and use that VPC. I already have a VPC, so I will just create one testing. Okay, they have changed it. A VPC is an isolated portion of AWS cloud populated by such as Amazon EC2 instances. Use the classes. Okay. Sixteen. So one thing you need to be aware is if you use VPC, it will be charged. So that you need to be aware. So now, if you are done with VPC, there is another way where you can create the VPC. I'm just deleting it, and I will show you how to create the more appropriate way. Either while launching the node, you can create one, or you can pre-create and use it while launching the node. So now you can go to services, and these are different types of services which AWS provides. So choose VPC. Let me go to home and then click on VPC. What? Okay. You can create from here. Start VPC wizard, and then see if it will be more appropriate way to create a VPC. So you can create a name which is optional. Now you have created a VPC, and then you can again go to services. Now I am actually once the VPC is created, you can create elastic IP. So this is even before actually you provision the node. As I mentioned to you earlier, VPC is to create a static IP for your private IPs, and elastic IPs is for public IPs. You will understand what is that public IP and what is that private IP in a moment. And one thing you need to remember with elastic IPs is Amazon provides only 5 elastic IP addresses. There is a nominal charge for this thing and VPC, but they feel that uh, public IPs are more resource intensive, so they do not want to throw away public IPs as many as we want, and they want to control. So by default, there is a limit of 5 addresses. If you want more, you can communicate to AWS team, and they will provide you more IP addresses based upon your use case. So it is let me delete this. I'm not using this IP address anywhere, so I'm just uh, it is released, so there is no delete. Actually, there is allocate new address, release the address, associate and disassociates. Allocate means creating new one, release means deleting the existing one, associate means you have to associate the IP address with your private IP address or VPC, and then you can use the static public IP instead of ever changing public IP. So the way you create elastic IP is just create a allocate new address, and click on S allocate, and then close it. uh, 1 minute, I messed it up. Standard is for your classic classic classic, and you should not use standard if you want to assign it to VPC. So let me release it, and now let me allocate new address. So here you have to choose whether EC2 or VPC. EC2 means classic, VPC means EC2 means classic or standard, VPC means VPC, virtual private cloud. So you have virtual private cloud one, and you can assign it only when once the node is launched, and then only you can associate with that node. So these are the main things which you need to understand even before you actually start provisioning the node. And then security groups. Security groups is like firewall group, where you can create a firewall group in AWS, and relate it to all the nodes in the cluster. So you can create as many security groups as you want, but it is one to many. So you can have one security group to many nodes. For VPC, you have to configure both inbound and outbound. So the way you create security groups is go to security groups, and click on create security group, choose VPC. Uh, in this case, we will choose the testing. Security group name testing, and inbound you can add the rules. So you can say all TCP, and then you can you have to open up ICMP so that you can ping. I'm just choosing anywhere to make it simple, but if you want to limit them and limit any IP addresses or ports, you should be doing it here. And you also have to open SSH, otherwise you will not be able to do SSH from your PC. So these are the most important ones. And then outbound, also create all TCP anywhere, create ICMP anywhere, and then SSH anywhere, and then click on create. One or more fields are invalid. Okay, yeah, security group description is required. Testing. Okay. Now you created the testing security group. Now we are all set to go to create our EC2 instance. So let me recap what we have covered so far. We have covered AWS concepts that are relevant to for our session. Then we have chosen a region we covered how to create a key pair and the relevance of it. We have covered VPC to have static private IPs, elastic IP to have static public IPs, and then we have covered security groups. So to in general, if you want to provision a node in AWS or anywhere, um these are the things which you need to be aware. You have to configure a firewall. You have to have a private IPs that are static. You have to have a public IPs that are static, and yeah, you need to have a SSH key, SSH pairs, so that you can communicate between the nodes. So these are not only relevant for AWS; these are relevant for any cluster you want to build in cloud or even on your laptop. But terminology might be different between the technology you are using. For example, if you try to use VMware Cloud, the terminology might be a little bit different. So, being said that, now we are going to create a EC2 node. So, go to services, click on EC2, and click on launch instance. Okay, and for Cloudera, we will use Red Hat. So, we are using the latest version of Red Hat. Uh, I think 7 has only 64-bit, so it depends upon what you want. You can choose either 6.5 or 7, it doesn't matter. So let us use the latest one. So I have selected 7. And for Hadoop, you have to at least have large. So what is this type? Okay, we have chosen a AMI that is associated with a template of a operating system provided by Red Hat. Now we are trying to choose the type. What is type? Type is the configuration of your compute nodes or EC2 node. So the lowest one is T1.micro. It has two ECUs. ECUs are similar to cores or CPUs, and vCPU is like CPU. Like if you think about ECUs of two with the CPU one, that means it's a dual core CPU. It's a virtual CPU, but it's dual core. It behaves like a dual core. And then memory given to this is 0.613 MB, and it can be configured only with EBS. We cannot use ephemeral storage or instance storage with T1.micro. So if you are new, if you have a new account, you can provision T1.micro for an year. If you want, actually they count it in hours. So they will give sorry, you can use T1.micro instance for free up to 720 hours within a year. Whether you use one node or 10 nodes, it doesn't matter. So, for example, if you want to provision 10 nodes of T1.micro, you can do that, and you can run it for 72 hours each. And once you reach that 720 hours, they will start charging the price. So you can search for prices in Google, and you will get the cost of each type. For large, it will cost you around 12 cents per hour, and then you have to pay for storage because we are using EBS. EBS is not free. They charge 10 cents per GB. So if you have 100 GB of storage, then they will charge $10 for that 100 GB per month. So you have to be careful when you choose how much storage you want for EBS. So for Cloudera installation, Hadoop installation, you need to have at least M3.large, which have 6.5 ECUs and two virtual CPUs, which means 13 cores, and it has 7.5 GB memory, and they can give you up to I think 320 GB of 1 by 32 SSD means it's 320 GB SSD. So they'll give instant storage of up to 320 GB for free, but we will not be using that one. We will be using our own storage, means which is EBS. Once you choose the type, you can choose number of instances. In this case, only one. And then you have to choose the VPC. I am choosing testing VPC for this demo, and that's it. You can go to the next. next part. Here you, for storage purpose, they changed it. They have a general purpose SSD, provisioned SSD, and magnetic. What is magnetic? Okay, let's create a new volume. Yeah, so there should be some with this one, and you can leave it the default value. Let me see. Am I using? Stop. Okay, that is fine. I think you can leave the default value, and I think this is free, so no need to worry about it. And then you can choose how much storage you want for your node, and uncheck this one so that it won't delete on termination. This is a very important step which you need to remember. And then next tag instance, tags are just naming conventions that and naming or some other thing which you want to use. So in this case, let's use it, give the name tag as testing, and then you have to use create a you have to configure your security group. We have already created a security group called testing, so you can use that testing as your security group. And then you can say review and launch. You can check again how it looks like. You can review all the things, and then you can click on launch. Here it will ask you for existing key pair, or you can create a new pair here itself, or you can proceed without a key pair, but it is advised to use a key pair, and we will choose the existing key pair, which is testing. So I'm using testing as a key pair, and then I have clicked on launch instance. Now the instance is launched. It will take a while to start the instance. While launching, I will explain the actions tab, which is very important, and the most important part is actions. In actions, it has terminate, it has reboot, it has stop and start. So stop means just stopping the node. Reboot means it will stop and start the node immediately, and it will not even if you use classic IP addresses for VP for your private and public IP, the private and public IPs will not change. So if you are using a production system, you typically use you can use classic because you hardly stop the nodes. You whenever there is upgrade, you just reboot the nodes. So for that purpose, you can use reboot. If you stop and start after a while, then probability is very high that you lose your IP addresses, both private and public, and you will not be able to communicate with your nodes. Terminate means it will terminate the instance, and once you terminate, they will not charge anything. But if you stop, the 12 and a half cents per hour for your node will not be charged, but you provision 50 GB storage, so per month they charge $5. So as long as you have that, you will be charged $5 per month. So you have to be very careful about the storage amount of storage you provision. And then you can take a few other actions using this tab. You can some needs to be done while it is stopped, some can be done while they are up and running. You can change the security groups, you can associate or disassociate elastic IP address, which we have discussed earlier. We will see those things in a moment. And one more thing you need to understand is volumes. So here, if you see, there are two volumes that are created, and they are created in zone 1A. So zones are within data center. So you need to be familiar with this as well. Region is like a data center, and then zones are within data center. When you actually provision the storage, I think you can choose the zones from where you want to provision the storage. Once storage is provisioned, um, once storage is provisioned, it will create a volume here. So even after terminating the instance, if you do not delete the volumes, then you will be charged for the storage. So the clean way of getting rid of your cluster is you should terminate the instance, and then you have to delete your volumes. Otherwise, you will be charged for volumes. Okay. So that is about volumes. Snapshots, this is like taking a backup of your instances, and if something happens, you can just restore these snapshots, um, uh, and you can start your node. This is not that important, but volumes is the uh, most important one. So let's see whether it is started. It is still running. Okay. So if you see this, the private IP address is 10.0.0.201, and it haven't assigned public IP yet. So let's see. So we will not be able to connect to this until the public DNS is uh, available. But in the meantime, you can actually do actions. Uh, okay, it is not letting you to. It is not letting you to do anything at this time. Let us wait until it is started. Actually, you can go to Elastic IPs and click on this one, associate address, and you have to give the instance name with testing and associate. Now if you see, there is the IP address, and this will not change. If you do not use Elastic IPs, it will change. Okay, so this is the instance ID which is unique, which will be unique, and uh, at this time using the console, the most important things are public IP and private IP. And then if you click on connect, it will tell you how to connect to this. So we already copied this testing.pem, so we have to change the permissions on it. So chmod 400 testing.pem. Now uh, it is working. I mean, it is we will be able to connect using SSH client. If you want to connect using PuTTY, you just explore. You will get directions to it. But if you are using Linux or Cygwin or Mac OS, then you need not configure your PuTTY. You just directly once you have this testing.pem in a proper location with proper permissions, you will be able to connect to the instance. So I am trying to connect here. The key is testing.pem, and for Red Hat you should use EC2 minus user to connect. Similarly for Ubuntu, there is a different user, and it changes depending upon the AMI you have chosen. Let me get to the IP address. Now you are in the node. So this is how you actually provision the node and connect to the node. Okay, let me recap. what we have done. We have created a key pair to start with, and then we have created a security group. We have created a VPC, virtual private cloud, and then we clicked on launch instance. We have chosen VPC for network. We have chosen storage. We have chosen key pair that is already created, and we have given a name, testing, to the node, and then we launched it, and we are able to connect to it. The most important part is security groups. So unless you open these three, SSH means if SSH is not opened, then you will not be able to connect from your PC. So that is where you have to open SSH. ICMP is to ping. So without ICMP, you will not be able to ping the node from your PC. If you want to ping it for any reason, your ICMP has to be opened. It applies even for regular computers as well. Why it is not working? Let me see. Security groups. Okay. I have to give the port range. No. I think I have to do all ICMP. That is the issue. Yes. Let me check for the outbound also. Yeah, it is all ICMP. Now if we change it, so now it is able to ping. So SSH is to authenticate authenticate the node from your PC. ICMP is to ping the node from your PC or any other computer, and then TCP is to use any port when you access your node name node UI or job tracker UI or any other application that is running. If you want to connect to it using web address and port number, all those things have to be opened. So in this case, I am opening for all the IP addresses for all the ports up to 65,535. Typically, you should have a custom rules here. So that is about security groups. So being said that, we have created an instance. We started running it. So at this time, I will take a pause on this session. Let me actually terminate it, and then I will start again before installing Hadoop. In the next session, I will create the node again, and then I will install Hadoop. Okay, so actually it started giving more options. So clean up associated resources, release, yes. Earlier these options are not there. So delete on termination, we unchecked it. You have to remove those volumes. So naming is very important. If you do not name, you might end up deleting the volumes that are not supposed to be deleted. In this case, these two are the ones which we need to delete. So it is still terminating. That's why it is not letting to detach. Let me try in a moment. I'm giving it a name here. What happened? It is terminated, and then go on volumes. Okay, now I think you will be able to delete a volume. It is already detached, so I'm able to delete. So that's it. And this is how you should provision the AWS node. And in the next session, we will see how to we will provision node again, and then we will see how to install AWS on that. Thank you.